everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today for a conversation, an unfiltered conversation about what it takes to expand your presence on social networks. And with me, I have Hal Bleiweiss, who is an expert in these things by experience. What we've done is we've prepared some questions that we are going to bounce back and forth between each other and see what conversations emerge out of all of that. So, Hal, perhaps you'd like to say hello to everybody, and then I will launch into the first question.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Hal Bleiweiss, social media strategy architect, community dude. Melanie and I have been dear friends for years now, all focused on social media, community management, strategic placement of brands, and so forth. So we should have done one of these a long, long time ago. We should.
Truly,
We really
truly,
should have. And
what took us so long, Hal?
I don't know. Well, maybe because you're halfway around the planet from where I am. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
We both are focused on, we both have a similar foundation and level of experience, but where we do it and how we do it and the value we bring to the table is unique in some ways, but overall, in general, we're all reaching for the same things, the success and the value. So that's why, I don't know why it popped in our head a few days ago or a week or so ago where we said, hey, let's have a conversation. So
yes.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I feel like we've been waiting for this conversation for a very long time. So I'm delighted to have it. And I am going to launch with the first question for you, Hal, and that is, what is one mistake new social media managers make that is completely normal, and how can they correct it quickly?
I think social media, and it's not only for new social media managers. I think many of us do it over time, where, we create a space, and then we build a little bit of an infrastructure, but we don't look at the overall big picture of where we're placing it, how we're positioning it, what is it going to feel like when our people come to us, our followers or our members, what's it going to be like when they get here?
Yes.
You can have a beautiful restaurant that you opened up in your town, and if there's no nice sign on the door, if you haven't let anybody know that it's opening and that you have this kind of menu, and when people actually do find you by some miracle, when they get there, the ambiance isn't what you hoped it would be because you didn't do that pre-planning, that design part beforehand to welcome the people, to make them feel valued and important. So I think that's probably maybe a little missing part of planning in advance before you launch something or when you reevaluate something. I don't know if that,
So I have a theory about why it might be missing. Is that a lot of people who start groups on Facebook or communities on Facebook or whatever that do take off are not always expecting it to happen.
Now what? Oh, what do we do now?
So I know in my particular case, I was attempting to sell one thing, and then I created a group that was related, but not in the direct flow of things, and then that was the thing that took off. And then I had to decide, now what am I going to commit to? Am I going to commit to the thing that I wanted to do, or do I follow the energy flow that became evident as the group grew virally? So I know certainly in my case, I didn't have an overarching plan for what happened when I ended up with my community, because the community that I ended up with was not quite the one I intended to build.
So what did you do? Did you follow the flow and follow the energy and leverage that? Or did you try to change course with everybody there and bring it to where you thought it should have been?
Honestly, I tried both.
Sounds like a strategist, yep.
I tried both, and asking people to move closer towards me was very hard to do.
Mm.
Moving closer towards what the majority were doing for me was an easier move. So that was where I went, and I'm delighted I did that, because it's taught me so much in the letting go of what I thought it needed to be, of what I thought I wanted to build, so that now I'm building something that's actually way closer to my values, my core values, which is quite an unusual place to be in business for anybody.
Most definitely. There's some conversation we're probably likely going to have where we're gonna dig into core values when it comes to creating a strategic place for people to land, group page, site, wherever it might be, because the core values are really like the foundation of what we do. And
Absolutely.
if we can't identify
Absolutely.
them, how can we create it? So yeah, I think we'll get into that in a little bit. I have a question.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, if you could go back to your first month working in social media, way back in the day,
yes,
what would you do differently? Why?
What would I do differently, and why? Knowing what I know now.
Yes. If you could transport yourself back to those days.
So I tend to be one of those people who's kind of fools rush in when angels fear to tread. So I actually don't like to know too much about a thing, because then I likely wouldn't do it at all.
Most definitely.
So the fact that I arrived ignorant and marching around with my big feet, I wouldn't really change that, because it's kind of an isness of the state of where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I had to learn all the things to get to where I am now. And that it's all part of the process. I'm not sure I would have listened if you'd given me any advice back then. Would you?
How many of us said, "Oh, I know everything I need to know"? Right? You can't possibly show me anything that I'll learn from. Don't you know who I am? No.
Right.
Well, I think all that comes from good intent. Also, we want to do the right thing for the right reasons, and we get this idea or this dream to do something, and we drive towards it so fast. The learning process, like you said, looking back on it, I also have to say that I don't necessarily know that I would have said this previously, but the learning process was irreplaceable. It was
absolutely
the value in the learning process. I can only hope that I didn't, miss those huge opportunities or those huge lessons because I thought I knew everything.
Yes.
There's an old saying that I used to use in the certification program when I took the first practice exam, because I thought I knew everything. I didn't know what I didn't know.
No.
I didn't.
No.
And it was an awakening to realize that no matter how much experience any of us has, there's still more to learn. And that early learning that you just talked about, I think it was critical in positioning us in a way to show success. I like that.
Absolutely. It's given us a rigor and a resilience that somebody who just now, say for example, somebody who works for an agency who just does the book learning from the certified course. Okay. They might pass that course. They will never have what we have. And in fact, we were talking about it in our admin team. I think it also goes back to the fact that we operated in this space before we had all the fancy features and tools. So the features have improved underneath us, but we're the ones who made it work before we had anything. When we had people running around and doing everything manually before, and admin assist existed.
Yes.
And I think it's that critical understanding that we have from that time that makes our depth of knowledge now something special.
Most definitely. And if you think about it, if we just dove into it back in the day, early on, without the base of knowledge that we had, the lessons would have been more rich. They would have been more rewarding. They would have brought more value to us. Because, if thinking about walking into the industry today with so many different platforms and so many different opportunities and so many different ways to find our people and gather our people together in so many meaningful ways, it almost seems like it could be more of a challenge than I would necessarily know how to do. I might have to take it piecemeal and start one place and build from there. We were talking the other day about where we place our social media on so many different platforms, and I think you and I came to the acceptance, I think I could call it, that you start somewhere. It's going to be this platform or that platform or this medium or that medium, and then as you build and grow your following, your people, they may show up somewhere else, which means you have to reevaluate where you're at and what you do where you're at, and maybe you change your course a little bit, because it's much easier to go where they are than to try to get them to go where you are.
Yes, so I was in the Facebook Community Accelerator with another very interesting community. The lady had started a community in Nigeria to talk about buttercream cakes, because she had a bakery and she sold cakes. It grew virally. She ended up with a European membership. Her Nigerian members then retreated to a WhatsApp group. But now she's got hundreds of thousands of people in a Facebook community who all want to talk about buttercream cakes, and it doesn't serve her financial bottom line. But now she's suddenly got this massive admin load that she has to take care of, to manage a community of people who she has no connection and no values alignment with. And it was a very interesting example for me to see that, sometimes our best intentions, we want to do a thing, something different happens. So I think perhaps going back to that question of what would I tell my younger self, it would be that if I don't get the results I'm expecting, don't take it personally. Pivot.
Pivot. I love that.
Yeah, that would be it.
I love that.
Okay, are you ready for question number 2 from me?
Oh, I might be.
Okay.
I'll give it my best shot.
What is one unexpected or memorable moment that shaped how you approach social media today?
That's an amazing concept, because I think, I'll give you a quick story. 1,000 years before the internet existed, when I was a young child, and this is the foundational birth of what community means to me.
Yes.
As a child, my family my dad was a veteran in World War II. When he came home, he was involved in veterans organizations. My mom was involved in service organizations for the veterans. Later on in years, that they were in. When I was a little kid, we moved to a neighborhood that was brand new houses, and we were like one of the founding families in the neighborhood. And my dad was very involved in the community, the local community, the neighborhood. They had meetings every month, and they would rotate houses where everybody went to each other, and they had parties and get-togethers. And I had no idea this was going on. I was a little child, but there was a seed being planted in my mindset about the value of community. And then, as a little child, my next door neighbor, and I told this story a few times online. As a little child, my next door neighbor had a flower garden, and I was like, I don't know, maybe 5. I was a little boy, and when nobody was around, I walked next door, and I stole some flowers. Remember, I'm 5 years old. I'm not admitting to a crime here, and I took some flowers out of her flower garden and walked back to my house and wanted to give them to my mother.
Yes.
And by the time I walked down the driveway and up the driveway, my mother was standing at the door like this already. Because my neighbor had saw what I did and she called my mom. And I loved my mom and I wanted to give my mom flowers. I was an innocent little 5-year-old. I didn't know what stealing was. I wasn't raised that way. And my mom and the neighbor knew I was a little boy and knew what I tried to do. I wanted to give something to my mom. And what my mom did was, my punishment was that next weekend or something, I had to go back to my next door neighbor's house with her and help work in the garden.
Okay.
As like payback for me taking something that wasn't mine. And during that whole process, there was like this big purple bush in the corner of her garden that had big puffy purple flowers. And I kept looking at it. And they told me this story later years. And I didn't remember it when I was 5. And the neighbor noticed that I kept looking at it. So she's right when I was there, probably maybe an hour, which seemed like an eternity for a 5-year-old. And she said, "Come with me." And she went over to this big bush and she dug down with me to the root part of this flower, this plant. And it was a peony. That Peone, I think it's a peony plant. It's a perennial flower. And she said, "Do you like this?" I said, "Yes." And she gave me a little root of it. And then she walked me over to my house with my mom, and we planted that little root in the garden at my house.
Yes.
So she gave me another life lesson that of sharing something valuable in my eyes in the community.
Yes.
And
how beautiful.
Oh yeah, and decades later, my parents had passed and I had bought the house and I was living there. And decades later, that peony plant was still there.
Yes.
And every time I saw it, I would remember that life childhood. So I was taught about the value and importance of community decades ago. And when I got online originally, I looked for that.
Yes.
Sense of community online, and I didn't necessarily feel it.
Okay. So what signs, this is my own question I'm just throwing in here. What signs do you look for when you go into a community that tell you that it's healthy and safe and a good place to be?
I love that. It's really important when I go into that community, and it's really important for the success of the community overall to have these ingredients.
Yes.
It seems safe. It's welcoming. It's mission focused. It's respectful. I'm valued there. They see me. They hear me. They encourage me to participate.
Yes.
A comment or a post that's not responded to is a member or a follower that's ignored.
Totally.
No two ways about it.
I'm also of the belief, and I'd like to hear if you agree with me here, that in a community where some posts get literally hundreds of comments, if nobody comments, it is experienced as exclusion.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's not intentional. Even if, because as community leaders, we know that, you mentioned it a few minutes ago, that we can get busy. Our sometimes, if we're doing the right thing, our community can grow pretty rapidly. And evaluating the impact that we have as a community leader, part of it is, are we still serving our people? And if we don't have the bandwidth or whatever we need to serve our people by responding to them, encouraging them, supporting them, respecting them, then we need to make some decisions. Maybe we need to, reevaluate how we're using features. Maybe we need to reevaluate what we're focusing on. Because I may say this inadvertently more than one time during this conversation, many brands are laser focused, rightfully so, on metrics. How much engagement is there? What's our ROI? How much reach is there? How many people are seeing this? How many people? That's really important stuff for a brand. But as a community leader, as a strategist, that's secondary to something that's critically important. If we take care of our people in the right way, the metrics will take care of themselves.
Absolutely.
The people have to come first. We will show the ROI. We will show the value. We'll have the conversion that we need for our brands. But we have to focus on our people. And that's where the bridge of social media strategy to brand strategy is our job. They don't talk our language. They want ROI. I'm investing this dollar. How am I making that dollar back? What's the value that the brand is getting from what you're doing in our community or on our page? And the key to that is understanding that there's two different languages we speak. We speak reach, engagement, conversion, metrics. Customer satisfaction is something they speak about. Subscriptions and purchases, and we have to have the ability to speak two different languages. If I tell a brand, maybe I'm dealing with a director in their consumer satisfaction department or something, wherever my contact is, and he says to me, "What's the ROI?" And I come to him and say, "Oh, well, we have a lot of great engagement." Yes. I'm speaking French to somebody that speaks Latin. No, totally. I need to be able to convert that to something they understand. It's not my job for them to learn my language.
Yes.
My job to speak their language and be able to convert what I know about it to their understanding of it. They've got their own job. Totally. If they were able to understand our language, they wouldn't need me. They could run their own community. If they know what engagement and conversion is and all those other fun things we talk about, they wouldn't need me. I don't want them to learn. I might as well have to pay them then. If they're going to understand conversion and reach and tone and brand strategy, if they know all that, they don't need me. But they're busy enough. They're doing whatever they're doing. So I need to bridge that.
Yes, absolutely. So, Hal, where are we in the questions? I think I've asked you two.
I've got one for you.
Okay.
What daily habit has had the biggest impact on improving your social media strategy? How's it affected the performance all along? What habits have you built and created over time that you utilize regularly that's helped you and your performance overall? What are those?
I think the most critical habit is just that I'm always learning. This week once again, you and our conversation that we had yesterday has shown me that I have to stay up to date with what's happening and what's current and how the internet is developing. Mm-hmm. In our game, we cannot afford to not be learning. And even if we don't know everything, we have to know how to find everything.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. There's an old saying that I used to share a lot. I haven't talked about it in a long time. That feeds exactly into what you're talking about, learning. It also ties into growing our team and finding the right people for the right things that need to be done. And that is, there'll be times where I'll have a discussion with a brand and they'll say, "Oh, we also need you to do this, and this."
Yes.
But that may not be my expertise.
Yes.
So I have a couple of choices. I can make believe, "Oh yeah, no problem, I take care of that," and go run to AI and how do I do this and how do I do that? That's not authentic. Or yes. I could say, "I'm sorry, this won't be a good fit for me because I don't know how to do that."
Yes.
Or, which I think the third option, which is the best option for me and a brand, is I'm not an expert at that, but in the process of taking care of this, I'll find somebody that is.
Yes.
And I'll bring them to you and I'll send them to you. Maybe it's I don't know, like I do like minor photo editing and minor graphics work, but I'm not like a graphic artist. With AI, with AI now we can do all sorts of incredible things.
I love the stuff you're doing with AI at the moment. I like the one of you on the surfboard, Hal.
that came from the old surfing the internet slogan that people used to use all the time.
I
And
love it.
I mean, if I would have to be a doctoral level graphic artist to be able to create that on my own. When all I had to do is because we're both implementing AI in our daily strategies and how it can ease what we do and bring more professionalism to the table, which I'll be sure to make sure we talk about implementing AI and what we do somewhere along this process.
Yes.
I can create it in I created that in like 5 minutes.
Yes, I'm loving the time that it's saving us.
Oh, most definitely. And
Yes.
for those of you that might have, what's a good word? Trepidation. Ooh, about implementing AI in your daily. Well, that's pretty good for a community guy, huh? I have to go look it up later, but I think that's the right word. But anyway, AI. I have a whole AI story, but let's talk about it. We'll eliminate a couple of the other questions and we'll skip around. When AI started rolling out, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that, I was like, I have no use for that. I'm gonna.
Okay.
We talked about this the other day. I'm teaching it to be
Yes.
my replacement, so I didn't want to have
Yes.
anything to do with it, right? And then
Yes.
somebody came up with this: make me an action figure prompt,
Yes,
right? Where
yes, yes,
create
yes.
me like an AI social media
We
superhero.
all did that one. We all did that one.
I know. So I'm like, wow, that's kind of interesting. And I was, it was mystical to me, AI. I didn't really, I don't know if I was outright scared of it or intimidated by it, but it seemed like I didn't see a value to it. And then I did one of the AI action figures. And I have Hal, the
Yes.
community guy, I just having some fun, right? And what happened was, in creating half a dozen or so AI action figures of Hal, of my dog, of my son, of my mother-in-law and father-in-law, of my sons-in-laws, just having fun, right? Something
Yes.
magical happened. I was able to demystify artificial intelligence in my own mind.
It's
I
so cool.
it was huge. So then I
So
said, okay, well, this is kind of fun. How can I use it?
So Hal, may I throw in another one of my questions here? I know we've got a list full of very important questions
Yeah,
here, but I've got
yeah.
other questions that
There
are
may be
coming
a
up
part
now.
2 of this event.
I think there's going to have to be at the rate we're going.
Fine with me.
So, my network is very suspicious of AI.
Mm-hmm.
And when I played that game, I made one image and got very, very, very hard pushback from my network saying that as somebody who claims to be an environmental activist,
Mm-hmm.
I used a ton of water to generate that image unnecessarily. How do I justify it?
That is a really important question. I may not answer it to everybody's liking, but my reply to that is truly from my heart.
Okay.
In really it is.
Yes.
When and please don't just like discount my conversation. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to somebody that might be listening, to this replay. Please listen to the whole feeling I have about this because there are parts of me that totally agree with that.
Yes.
It really does. I'm concerned about that seriously, and
Yes.
I'm not a big brand. I'm not a Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg. I'm Hal, the community guy, right? And
Yes.
somebody said something that I didn't like. I got annoyed at it, but I couldn't disagree with it. And that what they said was, put yourself back into the 1700s when everybody's riding horses and buggies before the internal combustion engine was invented. Some of us held on to the horse and buggy because that newfangled thing called a car, a steam engine, whatever was like the devil to
Yes.
some of us back in the 1700s. Where would society and humanity be overall today if we never, society said, okay, now we're going to stay with horses and buggies?
Yes.
You know, that's
Yes.
just one perspective of it. And another more, it's not important, another different perspective of the same, this another side of the same coin is, if we're going to do the right thing for the right reasons for society, for humanity, let's be,
Yes.
for the planet, are we going to just say, okay, no more AI, or, which is probably impossible to say, we could say it, but let's get honest here. The horses, no
Yes.
pun intended, the horse and buggy's out of the gate. You know,
It doesn't matter what we say right now.
yeah, exactly. So if that's the case, me as an individual who feels responsible for my global community, because this is all about community, whether it's a Facebook group, a Reddit, a subreddit, or a website, or a clothing collective, whatever it might be, or my town, city, state, or the planet. If I truly buy into the responsibility that I have for my community, I can't turn the time back and erase it and make it all go away. So my best option is to promote responsible utilization of it.
Yes.
Awareness of its potential negative effects.
Yes.
And hope and pray that society at large hears what many of us are saying. Great. Put that giant, building up that's going to take 200 acres of farmland away from us, and
Yes.
you're going to mess up our water, and put solar panels on the entire roof.
Yes.
Create a big giant pond on 100 acres of it and reclaim the water. Bottom line, I can either be a part of the problem or I can be a part of the solution. There's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. And if I want to be a part of the solution, I have to accept the reality and at the same time never forget what I want to do, which is bettering the planet, bettering humanity, bettering people overall. So I have to find that middle ground where it's here. I can't, hey Elon, listen, yes, flip that switch. Yeah, Mark, listen, go to the basement of Menlo Park and take that big blue switch and turn it off. That's not going to happen.
No.
And I don't necessarily want it to happen. Am I right?
May I put another kind of lens on
Please,
it?
I want your perspective.
Yeah, it's very easy to get stuck in that lens also, which is why I went there with this. And that lens is also, is it fair to publicly shame somebody like me? Because this is a comment on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So your intention with a comment like that is to shame me publicly.
I have a great answer for that. Now, I'm talking to the person that might think about doing that in this situation or any situation. What purpose does it serve?
Yes.
From not you, their perspective, how will it help your cause?
Absolutely.
Or how will it hurt your cause?
Yes.
If it's going to help your cause, then you're going to be you're either part of the solution or part of the problem. I harken back to it multiple times because we're not children. Slapping your hand is likely not going to be productive.
I love that. Slapping your hand is likely.
Putting you in timeout is likely not going to be productive.
You're so right.
Let's get real here, right? So if I make believe I'm that person that for a moment thought about slapping your hand and shaming you or whatever it was, you are terrible, you're wrong, this is what you do. How about we have a conversation like you and I are having right now to talk about the reality of the situation and what we can do to help it along the way. And you never know, one voice turns into two. 2 voices
Yes.
turn into 4, 4 turn
Yes.
into 8, and all of a sudden you have a movement where
Yes.
society overall says, wow, there's 44 million people that are saying we have to be more responsible about our resources. And
Yes.
now, because you came at this situation reasonably, respectfully, and responsibly, you may have very
Yes.
well started the movement that is going to give the solution to the problem you thought about slapping their hand about.
Yes. Yes.
Don't
Yes.
slap my hand. I'm going to pull my hand away and you're going to hurt your hand. It's not going to work. But engage with me in a caring, respectful, community way, and we'll
Yes.
we'll do something about it. It might not be the
Yes.
solution, but it might be the start.
Yes. Yes. I'm always open to people saying to me, "How can we collaborate? How can we create value
Mm-hmm.
together?" And when that kind of thing comes at me, all I really do is delete and block because I cannot afford to give energy to something that's not productive.
Mm-hmm.
I feel my work is way too important to give energy up to that.
Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, and the next question on my list that I was going to ask you, you're going to be saying, like we already answered that, is how do you handle negative comments, criticism, or
ah,
difficult audiences without burning out? I mean,
ah.
that's just like a perfect segue to what we were just talking about,
Love it.
right?
Love it. Love it. So we've covered most of it except without burning out part.
Mm-hmm.
So the without burning out part is entirely covered by my team, my
Mm-hmm.
admin team. I have the most incredible team of volunteers who look after my community when I'm not around.
Mm-hmm.
And the success of my community lies at their door.
How did you
That's
how did you how did you find those people? Are they all? Hey, wait, hang on. Let me start this question in a different way. Are they AI? I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist.
This time, no. And they're not fictitious either.
They're real people.
They're real people.
How did
They're
you
real
find them?
people.
What signals did you get from them? How did you find them? Tell me that story.
So when the community hit 20,000 members, because I am in South Africa
Mm-hmm.
and most of our membership are in the USA, I would wake up every single morning to what could only be described as chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible what went on in the night when I was sleeping. And it was so stressful for me to switch on my laptop and see that every single morning first thing that I just freaked out. I didn't have the tools to deal with it. So I went in one day and I was like, I can't cope. I need help.
Mm-hmm.
And I specifically asked for volunteers in other time zones from where I was. And some amazing people stepped forward. And some of them are still with me. My first 2 volunteers who joined me, the first one we retired for health reasons because she's a much older lady and she's in hospital a lot. And the second one who joined us is still with us and is still my co-pilot and my spin doctor. So whenever something happens in the community and the team when I'm away, she's the one who makes the tough decisions and she's the one who the others are ready to follow. And she's been with me since 2018, so we've had a very very long road together. It was very intense for me to step into trust with people I'd never met, because overnight I brought in 5 or 6 volunteers who I'd never met, I'd never seen them, I'd never hugged them, I'd never smelled them, I'd never touched them. All I had was a Facebook profile to go on, and some of those people are still with me in service, volunteering in the most beautiful way, and really, really, really care about the community and the cause.
It almost
So
sounds like the way you position that. It almost sounds like your team is a community that's running a community.
it
Your people
is,
are a separate, unique community.
yes,
They have the same values. You
absolutely.
respect them, you care for them, you train them, you recognize them, you value them.
So I have an odd way of, well, not an odd way, it's just an unconventional way of running my team. because they're volunteers, I say to them, please come in when you can and do what you can. And I would prefer it if you came in a good mood. That is the only requirement.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have rotas. We don't have schedules. Nobody takes responsibility for anything verbally. Nobody says, I'm going to do this, and we then go and check on them.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just shows up when they can and flows into where it's needed. And when we have incredible periods, like at one stage we had a growth spurt where we onboarded up to 2,000 new members a day. So it went on for about 2-3 weeks. And I just watched this tiny team just flex. They just came in more than they had to before, and they just did it, and we got through it, and then the growth spurt changed again, and we went back to our normal growth rates again, and I still don't know how I did it.
I know how you did it. I know
It's just
exactly how you
hard.
did it. I know exactly how you did it. You did it with care, compassion, respect, and understanding. You valued their personal time. You allowed them to be who they were and still meet the needs that you had for the team. That's how you did it. Am I right? Am I wrong?
No, it's true. It's true. It was excruciatingly hard in the beginning, and once I figured out the mechanics,
Mm-hmm.
and the systems that I needed, the rest became easy.
You got one for me? You got a question?
Yes. Gee, we're going to be here forever at this rate. We're going to have to do a second
That's
one.
all right. Well, we can in a few minutes we can end this part 1
Brilliant.
and then go to part 2.
Brilliant.
And
Okay.
we'll cut the recording and start the recording, so we can have at least 2 parts of this. A series of Melanie and Hal. Let's have our own radio station. Oh, wait, that's a whole nother story.
That's coming. That's coming.
Well, we can
How do you
definitely
balance?
We'll podcast it also, put it on my podcast channel.
Absolutely. Of course you're putting this on Is your podcast still going, Hal?
Oh, yeah. Hal's Donut House. Don't be afraid of community.
Love it. Love it. Go look for it on Spotify.
Yeah, that's right. Tina Hill came up with the logo and the slogan about 4 years ago.
I love it. I love it so much.
Okay, what do we got?
How do you balance engaging your audience, protecting the brand, and still keeping your voice authentic?
Hugely important, because that harkens back to what we talked about a few minutes ago, where we talked about the brand has needs.
Yes.
We're not a charity. They're not saying, here, take X number of dollars and go create a group and have some fun. They have a reason for doing it. Theoretically, we are a business expense for them.
Yes.
Under advertising, customer service, brand loyalty. We touch a community, no matter what platform it's on, can touch so many parts that are critical of a brand.
Yes.
Sometimes we have to explain to them how, if they're doing customer research and they're coming out with a new clothing line. Let's try and keep it sort of remotely relevant. If they're coming out with a new clothing line, but they're not sure whether it's going to be this style or that style, well, the community can be a perfect place for fast feedback.
Yes.
Where we can ask those questions of the community, because they're an automatic targeted audience.
Yes.
They love that brand.
Qualified.
Or whatever, however you want to measure it. And always going under. See, when I'm a member of a community, just a customer or a member of a page or group or whatever, a subreddit, wherever, I'm speaking for myself. How? Yes. But when I'm managing the community, whether it's paid or as a volunteer, the fact is that to the membership or to the followers, I am the brand.
Yes. Yes.
I must know and learn how to speak for the brand.
Yes.
using their
Yes.
tone, their wording, their messaging, their mission statement, their rules, their
Yes.
requirements. So
Yes.
there's a balance there because, okay, see, let me separate it a little bit for a minute. I'll take an extra minute with this. Where if you're driving along the interstate, how close is the closest interstate to where you live? I didn't see a lot of highways and interstates by.
Well, it is an interstate, but it's a very small road.
Okay. I'm going to mess with you for years about that. But anyway, that's an inside joke because I found out what town Melanie lives in, and being inquisitive and wanting to learn things, I wasn't creeping or anything. I just wanted to see where she lived, right? Not the address, but like the location. And I did it in Google Maps, and I'm like, it's like
there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. So I had to zoom in like 200 times to find like an area that was like houses and stuff. So, but anyway, my wife wanted to know if there's stores and gas stations there. Yeah, right. How do you buy your food? Right? You don't have it airlifted in, do you? Or they drop it by helicopter?
No. We are 5 kilometers from a very small town with a petrol station, and an agricultural supply, and a very expensive superette.
I love it. I had to ask that, and I totally got off topic, but my wife asked me, well, she lives there. How does she... Because my wife, we live like a mile from a Walmart.
Oh, no, nothing
5
like
gas
that,
stations like within a mile. So, it's like because we go shopping.
45 kilometers to buy bread and milk.
Oh, my Lord. Okay, so ask me the question again because I'm totally lost.
Oh, no, now we got so off track, and I'm pleased we did because I actually feel like I once again want to segue.
Okay, sounds good.
Because I'm aware that maybe some of the people watching do not have quite the nuanced frameworks and lensing that we have around community managers and their positioning. So you were just talking about working as a community manager within a brand and for a brand, whereas in my situation, it's a little bit different. As the brand, I started a community. So my voice within my community has more autonomy than yours. So what I found interesting when I did the Meta Blueprint exam for community managers is that particular exam is lensed for somebody who's going to work in an agency for a brand. So they always have to be within their professional brand voice and within those restraints. For somebody as a founder who was coming from a place of, I'm building on the fly, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I'm just going to throw it up there and see what sticks. I found that there are a lot of things that I did that are maybe not suggested by the Blueprint course that worked for me that won't work for somebody who is in that kind of fulcrum position of working for somebody with all these restraints, all these forces, all these external responsibilities. Whereas somebody as a founder and a community manager has a lot more freedom to do all sorts of things and experiment with stuff. And I think that the people who are watching should be aware that there is a subtle difference.
Most definitely.
Depending on where you're coming from.
Let me ask you a couple of questions.
Yes.
Sort of like rapid fire questions.
Yes.
In your community, or a community like you're talking about here, that's not necessarily attached to a brand, as we mentioned, will you have a mission?
Yes.
Okay. Will you know what you want the community to feel like when somebody joins it?
Definitely, because as the founder, you go there every day.
Do you have measurements that you will use to see that what you're doing in that community is of value or needs to pivot?
So that's interesting. I don't use my metrics a lot.
What if you were at 5,000 members and all of a sudden you're down to 2,000 members, or you're realizing that over the last 7 days you put up 7 posts and only 3 people commented? That's something even without you as a founder looking at your metrics are likely to recognize. So you, to a degree, you are going to put some value on the results of the effort you're putting in. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you have standards, at least in the back of your mind, that this type of conduct is allowed and that type of conduct is not allowed?
Absolutely.
Interestingly, those are all the base requirements for a brand. They're all the base requirements for a brand, yet they apply to you also as a founder of a community that's not connected to a brand.
So, going back to your earlier question, the very first question we touched on, which is why do community managers not always plan properly for their positioning? And this is exactly it, is sometimes we've created a thing and we still don't recognize the size and scope of what we've created, and that we might already be a brand ourselves.
That's correct.
I feel like I'm just one lady with a laptop, and I forget that.
Why can't that be your brand? What do you think is limiting you from acting like a brand? Because there's you're gonna giggle a little bit when I share this, but as you well know, both you and I know a lot of people that started a community about whatever because it was fun. We saw the need. We wanted to find our people, right? We wanted to find our hobby people, our collective clothing people, whatever it might be. We created this thing some period of time in the past, weeks, years, or months or years ago, and now it's grown. And it's fulfilling our need. We found our people. That's the basic root need of any valuable community. It's our people on some level. So now it's grown and it's thriving, and we maybe added a couple of moderators or whatever the situation is. And then all of a sudden we wake up one day and say, "Wow, that's a lot of work. I should be getting paid for this. Why am I not getting paid for this?" Well, in all honesty, when I created this place back in the day, because I saw a need that needed to be fulfilled in me, my goal wasn't, hey, listen, I'm going to create a place because I like aquatics or whatever the mission of the community is. I didn't say, okay, I can't find my people, so I'm going to create the place, and I'm going to try and make money doing it. That wasn't necessarily how it worked. What happened was I did a good job at what I was doing, and it grew rapidly, and all of a sudden, because of the pressure I felt, because of something I created that's obviously successful, all of a sudden I think I deserve money. Yes. Well, okay, I can do that also, but under no circumstances, at least in my mind, should I ever give up why I created the community in the first place.
Yes.
I needed to find my people. And if it's becoming too much, I have choices. I can figure out a way to monetize it. I can bring on more team members. I can implement features that are available, that weren't available back then, to help me manage the growth. I can limit the growth. So there's not, it's not a, well, this is not worth it anymore because I'm not making money. I didn't start this as a business. I started it because I wanted to find my people. Or I joined a small community because I wanted to find my people, whoever they may be. And a lot of us over time say, oh, I can't believe it's becoming a full-time job. How come the platform, whatever it may be, making billions of dollars off me and I'm not getting nothing? They didn't ask you to come there. They gave you an opportunity to create a place for your people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm being dead serious here. And people say, well, they should pay me. Well, how about, you have an opportunity. They're giving you ways to do that. What effort are you putting in to do that?
So I do find it curious how many people complain about a free resource. Because for me, I've always felt that Facebook is the most incredible gift because it's a free resource and I have the opportunity to go out there. It's like an ocean. I can go fishing on the ocean any time of the day or night I want to.
Yep.
It's always there. It's always on. I've always got access to it.
Yeah, I had to throw that in. It's okay most of the time, 99.999% of the time.
And then that other 1% is very scary. So, hell, what do you do when you get locked out of Facebook for some other reason?
That's funny you should say that. Okay, so I got a funny story about that, and I'll call out. I was contracted full time for 2 years internally at Facebook, managing the Meta Certified Community Manager program. That was my job, and one of the things that I was doing was hosting live events in the learning group, teaching the course content. My manager, who is a dear friend, Kara, she was like, go do your thing. And I was doing it. And then I had like an event at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon that day that was live. And people were RSVPing, and it was a training event. And I was going to be going live and engaging with the candidates in the learning group. And I woke up and I turned the computer on, and Facebook's gone. It's not there. Like it never existed. So I go to my wife's computer on the other side of the house and go onto her profile on her computer, and Facebook is gone. Now I'm starting to panic. I get paid full time very well to do this. I get on the phone. No Facebook. So I have, the team at Facebook. We had all our cell phone numbers and all that just in case or whatever, because we became dear friends over the years when we worked together. And I called Kara and I said, I got a big problem. She goes, what's the matter? I said, I have an event in 3 hours and Facebook is down. What are my people going to do? They're going to show up and nobody's going to be there. I can't open the event. She said, how? Facebook's down, they're not going to be there. So, I thought, for a brief moment I was panicking that I wasn't going to show up for my people, when I didn't realize that, well, if Facebook's down, they won't be able to go either.
No one. And there was that day where for 15 very scary minutes, Facebook was off completely.
Oh, that's happened twice. But if you talk about, we started this part of the conversation about the free part of this, and
yes.
I've had the honor of having some exposure internally at Facebook as a contracted employee. Yes. And I can't explain how complicated the platform is.
Yes.
My members, my followers, my friends, my images, chat, messenger, communities, links.
Yes.
The infrastructure that it takes to make that happen is beyond comprehension.
Yes.
It really is. And I was also early on quick to say, but this is broken. And my ongoing joke, out of total respect for the platform, because I love Facebook, I think you and everybody else knows that. I'm surprised I don't have a Facebook tattoo, but that won't happen. Was, well, why don't I just go down to Menlo Park, which is Facebook headquarters in California, and go down to the server room in the basement. Not that there's a server room in the basement, it's a big joke. And I'll take the big blue switch, because it's Facebook Blue, and I'll flip the switch and make that happen. That's not how it works. There's engineers and designers and programmers and graphic artists and managers upon managers upon managers and subject matter experts and goals and missions and implementing something as simple as going live, rooms, community chats, Facebook Messenger, groups is intensely complicated, amazingly expensive, and very, very difficult to maintain. And I get it all for free. How do I pay for it? I see advertising. So what? It's targeted advertising for the most part. You know, if by accident I click on some young girl on an exercise bike, by accident, I'm not interested in young women on exercise bikes, but make believe I did by accident, all of a sudden it'll start showing me exercise equipment or young girls, whatever the situation is, right? And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to see that. It's trying to serve me content that it believes I'm interested in. Because
Absolutely.
if I click it, they get paid, and I can keep doing this for free.
And I've actually managed to train mine quite well.
Likewise.
Yes, yep. I tell it, I don't like these ads, don't show them to me, and it takes them away.
And many times I have to do it a few times because maybe it's called signal. It's looking for signal. It's looking for... It's in my interest and Facebook's interest to show me things that I'm interested in.
Yes.
If I see content that I'm not interested in, I'm not going to click on it. I'm not going to view it. Facebook's not going to make any money with it. So it's in their interest also to show me what I'm interested in. So it's also in their interest, the other side of that coin, to not show me things I'm not interested in. And it's a very, very, very difficult signal to track down.
Yes.
If I saw that girl on an exercise bike and I said not interested, maybe it's because I like men on exercise bikes, or because I like, this brand exercise bike instead of that exercise bike. So
yes, you don't know the reason reason behind.
Right, and the software is trying to figure out what it is I'm interested in, so it can serve me that, so it can get paid by the brand for me clicking on it. So I get that it's never going to be perfect, and I understand that, and I'm fine with that. Because a lot of it, I can't believe they're showing me that stuff. Well, it has a reason for it. They don't make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and so does the software. But how can I get past that and not keep cursing a platform that I find free? Try to feed the right signal by saying, I don't like that, or see more of it, or see less of it. I'm not interested, and I'm interested, whatever the case may be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are in control of our experience.
For the most part, yes. And Facebook as a platform, in my personal opinion, it was not a part of my job. I was without certification. They want to show you what you want to see. And yes, they may guide you, say, listen, you've been interested in exercise bikes. Maybe you're interested in running marathons. It's physical fitness. I mean, we could go for hours about possible signal that a platform, any platform, not only Facebook, any platform, would look for to show value in what it's showing you. So you click on it and get involved with it, subscribe to it, buy it, whatever it is, so that they can make money also. Because believe it or not, it costs a lot of money to run Facebook. God didn't post it on the planet and say, here, it's free. It's a lot.
Totally.
So anyway.
Totally. So Hal, we've been talking for an hour, and my ears have a functional lifespan in my earphones.
So how about we do some closing remarks and invite everybody to our next event where we will continue this conversation into bigger and broader conversations.
Brilliant, because I think we only got to question number 3 or something.
And we have 200 of them, just kidding. We have enough for at least another event or 2.
Yes, absolutely. And let us know in the comments if you enjoyed this one, because we'd love to bring you some more.
Right, please let us know. Ask if you have a question for us, put it in the comments. Let us know. Melanie and I know each other for a long time. We could sit here for hours on end and just get through. We can spend 3 hours on each question without a problem.
Hours.
So what's your
and that's just because I like hanging out with this guy.
I like hanging out with you too. Okay, so give me a final thought, and I'll give a final thought, and we'll let everybody go. What are your final thoughts about what we talked about?
So my final thought about what I talked about is that community is still in the center of my heart. I don't think I want to be in any other field. I love that I get to do community management as a side effect of what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a dojo for self-improvement.
Yes. A dojo for self-improvement. I absolutely love that. A dojo for self-improvement. Did you just come up with that just now?
No, it's a concept that I think about quite a lot. Because since I've become a community manager, it's knocked a lot of corners off me.
So you're like a fifth degree black belt in community management.
Something like
There you go. That
that.
works for me. Okay, so how about this? Let me say, with all the positives and negatives on social media and community management, we are the solution. We as a community, we as a society. So if we get together and talk about these issues in solutions-based ways, we will better our experience. We will better the experience for our members, followers, customers, brands, and society at large. The internet is not going to get turned off tomorrow, so we have a choice. Do we want to make this playground as fruitful and as enjoyable as possible, or do we just want to walk away? No question about it. We want to make this a better, more enjoyable, safer, rewarding place to be.
Love that. I love
So
that.
I think that's what our intention is here, Melanie. And keep your eyes out for the next event. Melanie will start letting everybody on the planet know. And Zuck, if you're listening, I have some questions to ask you and some solutions to give you. Elon, just go drive your dumpster-looking vehicle somewhere else. I don't have a lot of interest in that thing, but that's a whole other story. Thank you, everybody. This has been a lot of fun. Appreciate it a lot. And if you stuck out for a whole hour and 15 minutes with us, go spend time with your family.
You.
Go see your spouse, your friend. Go across to the neighbor that's having trouble mowing his lawn and mow his lawn for him without question. Just because you want to be a responsible member of your community. And when you see that beautiful peony plant next door at your neighbor's house, don't steal it. Help them cultivate it and share it with other people, because that's what community is all about. Thank you, Melanie.
I love that. Thank you, Hal.
You take care. Have a good one, everybody.